How do you build a community of loyal customers behind your streetwear brand that show up on drop day? You are listening to the Street Cred podcast, the show laser focused on helping you turn your streetwear side hustle into a full-time career. I'm Elijah Delport, and today we're talking about the topic of community and how to turn your social media audience into a community. It's a bit of a buzzword. A lot of people like to talk about community without giving concrete and practical advice about how to build one. This podcast episode is not one of those conversations. It's going to be practical. It's going to be no fluff and no nonsense advice. And it is basically my thing. My whole thing in all of what I do is about cultivating community. And so I absolutely love speaking on the topic. But first of all, before I get into it, what we're going to cover today is what a community is, why we build them, how they work, and how to build one for your streetwear brand. All right, a lot we're going to get through in the next 10 minutes. So this is going to be a heck of a lot of value. First of all, why do I have the authority to speak about community? Well, not only am I part of communities, but I've helped dozens of streetwear brands over the last 5 years build communities of their own. I've helped them from any stage, from startup all the way to established and beyond. And I've helped brands use the communities that they build in order to scale their brand. Not only that, but also find fulfillment in their brand. So now we've got over that. What is a community? Well, I think the best examples, I think it really boils down to like-minded people that are gathered around a like-minded idea, right? So it's all people that they're from different demographics. However, they all unify around the same belief or the same value, interest, lifestyle. That is how communities are formed. And all of us as individuals are a part of different communities, but we hold some in higher esteem than we do with others. But why would you even want to build a community behind your streetwear brand? Why not just sell clothing? I think it comes down to a few reasons. One is fulfillment. I spoke about that just earlier. And I believe that community helps you love what you do and helps show you the difference that you're making in the world beyond just selling clothing. It's that you are making a real positive impact in the lives of real individuals and how they build relationships. That is the effect of a brand owner who has intention of building community. What's another why to building community? Well, let's go to the financial perspective and financial sustainability. Audience members who are a part of a community are retained for longer. So a longer customer lifetime, which means in that customer lifetime, they have more opportunities to buy, which means that their lifetime customer value is greater than simply a one-time customer, right? In other words, they are loyal, right? So to summarize that point, people who are in community are loyal customers. That means you decrease customer churn and also decrease customer acquisition costs. If you are really focused on building communities, what you'll do is you'll have a much higher conversion rate because you're showing the world that we care about more than just getting a dollar from you. We care about more than sell clothing. We actually want to make a positive impact in this specific niche community that we're trying to build. So with all of those things in mind, if you can build a community effectively, you can expect to from today increase the revenue or increase the profit that you are taking home dramatically, because you are increasing the customer lifetime, increasing the customer value, and decreasing churn. They are big metrics, and they are all affected when we build effective communities. So before we get into how to build a community of your own behind your streetwear brand, we need to understand how communities work. And I mentioned it briefly earlier. It's that like-minded people gather around a like-minded idea. If we look to some of the largest examples of community in our society, we can get a really good idea about how they work. For example, Christians. The Christian community is, I believe, the largest international community that we have, other than humanity itself. And the reason why they're a community is because they gather around, they unified by the like-minded belief in Jesus Christ. That is why Christians exist, and they do in the strength that they do. And we see the results of them. Christians outwork their faith all the time in the form of orphanages, hospitals, outreach, in positive mental health efforts, in churches, right? How much positive impact have churches had on society? Amazing impact. Building schools, right? So from community comes action. Another example of community that maybe you can relate to if you've never been to church, if you don't call yourself a Christian or a part of any organized religion, would be family. Families are communities, and every family has its own family culture. And that's the thing that unifies the people in a family, the parents and the children, or the grandparents and the grandchildren, or the aunties and the uncles, or whoever it is. The thing that unifies us in a family, despite all of our demographic differences, is a common family culture. The common string between all of these communities, whatever they are, is that they all have one trait or another that all of the members inside of the community share. And so it brings me to the point about how to build a community. You cannot build a community around clothing. I'm sorry to break your heart if it does. But you cannot, I am so convinced you cannot build a community around clothing. Why? Because clothing is fabric. That's all it is. It's a product that people wear on their bodies. And it holds none of the traits or the necessities that a community does. It doesn't have any common belief, interest, value, other than the idea of fashion itself. But the idea of fashion, by the way, is not clothing, right? That is the idea. The fashion is the idea, not the clothing. That is the common interest. So my point is with this is that if you would truly want to build a community behind your streetwear brand, you're going to have to take out a page out of the books of all these great communities that we have in society, and hyper focus inside of a niche interest, belief, value, ideology, or lifestyle that your community holds that is different from every other community out there. That is the common string. That is how you build a community. Now, how do you actually go about outworking this? Well, building a community means you care about more than just clothing. The clothing is simply a byproduct of your brand, or it's a byproduct of the community. It's simply the jersey to represent the community. Like, this is another great example, is sporting culture. Right? If you go to Spain and you go to Madrid, you'll find a lot of Real Madrid fans, right? Or all over the world you will. Like, they're the greatest football team in the world. They all wear a jersey, but they're not supporting the fabric. They're not supporting the clothes. What they're supporting is a group of 11 players plus some bench warmers. Sorry to say it like that, right? They're supporting the 11 players that are on the pitch and the culture that they carry. Right? So again, that's another great example. The way you outwork a community and literally build one behind your brand is by selling more than the clothing. You need to sell this idea, right? I said this to one of my coaching clients today. I said, become a marketing agency that just happens to sell clothing. That's all football is. Right? They're a marketing agency for unity among mostly men that just happens to sell jerseys for the teams that represent that idea. Right? That's what football is. And that's what you need to do with your brand too, if you want to build a community. Right? You need to become a marketing agency for the idea that you're selling and represent that through the content that you create. Right? So for example, if you're a community around people who love to get outside, you need to make content about getting outside, not just about your t-shirts and your hoodies. Because you need to think of your product as second, as really the byproduct of the true vision that you're outworking, which enables you to build this community in the first place. So that's how you build a community behind your streetwear brand. And look, it's not for everyone. This method is for those who this method is for those who just care about the designs. So it's not for those who just care about the designs, who just want to create some nice looking clothes, like whatever. Build your e-commerce store, do some drop shipping. Like, I'm sure you can earn a buck. I'm talking to those that want to build a legacy, that want to leave something behind, that want that fulfillment and want customer loyalty that exceeds that of those that simply sell the material or design value of a garment. And so that is the value of community. So if you're listening to this and you want to build a community of your own, then look, hey, join what I've got going on at the moment. It's a community for brand owners. And it's kind of paradoxical at this point. I've said this word a lot in this episode, but there's a link in the description that allows you to join a community of brand owners that'll show you how to build community, right? I know it's getting a bit confusing at this point, but anyway, look, at the moment there's more than 90 of us, and I have a free streetwear marketing course in there that shows you how to outwork your brand into every part, every crevice of your output into the world, into your content creation, into your social media, into the identity that you're representing, and how that's going to help you build a community. So if that sounds remotely interesting to you, go to the description below and click on that link. You can join 100% for free. But anyway, otherwise, that's it from me. Look, I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. weekdays this podcast is releasing. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you for another one. Bye now.